So I'm about 6.5 miles in right now, and I've stopped at this shelter at the Happy 4 campsite to have some lunch and be dry while doing it. And I've got, you might see, there's my coat back there trying to dry out. And I have some lunch, which seems like good timing because the rain has just picked up somewhere. I don't know if you can see that. The fact that it's raining, you might just see that it's kind of misty or whatever. But this shelter is just past the Happy 4 campsite, where apparently in the 30s, 4 members built this shelter and some other things around here, and became so disenchanted with the other's company that they wouldn't even speak to each other. And to commemorate that, they called this the Happy 4 site. Good morning. It is the morning of day number 2. Oh, there's some elk over there. I have gotten to the Olympic Guard Station last night, and I didn't really give you an update, but the rain has finally stopped now. It went all through the night. I got here, I was feeling pretty wet, and I waited a while under this shelter for the rain to die down, and then I was able to set up my tent without getting it too wet, moved everything in, hung up my wet stuff to dry inside the tent. It has not dried, by the way. Put on my sleeping clothes and was able to come out in my sleeping clothes and make dinner outside. I got those a little soggy, but they were able to dry off before I had to sleep, which was nice. And then I basically hid in my tent because I couldn't go outside without getting everything wet. So I hid in my tent and napped and then slept. And that was the ending of day number 1. It was kind of yucky, kind of not so fun, but I'm out here now, and the rain stopped, which is great. I saw some elk this morning. They were hanging out right in this grassy open space, and you'll see a video of that later. And there actually are some right over there. I think that's where they moved to, and so I might be able to get you a video of that as well. So right there, dead center, one of them's looking at me. They're suspicious. You can see his white butt move. The white butts definitely make them a lot easier to spot than, say, any other animal. I was kind of confused. I imagine when they've got great big horns, they're very majestic, but these guys, they are large and they are beautiful, but they kind of just remind me of a deer crossed with a llama. Like when you see them up close, they have the same like llama neck. It's not so graceful. And it's just a really interesting body shape that they have. And there they go off. They don't seem to be all that scared of me, but they also like me to keep my distance. So I've been trying not to approach them or disturb them too much, although we did get a little closer there, and they're just off into the brush. This is my bear wire. The National Park Service is kind enough to install these for us. I thought it was just going to be a wire, then we had to construct the bear line ourselves, so I brought the stuff to do that. Whoops, I'm not focusing. But they actually have the hanging wires as well, so they've got a little clip for you to clip to the bag, and then you pull it across the pulley, and the bag goes up, and then there's another clip down here that you can clip it to the tree to keep the bag up there and out of reach of, apparently coyotes over in this area are especially fond of stealing your stuff, and they've learned to target plastic bags. So here's the the Hoh River. This is just a short walk from my campsite. It's gorgeous. It's definitely got the silty glacial melt feel to it. And you can just see the trees shrouded in fog everywhere, and that's a really good indicator of why my stuff won't dry out. Even though the rain stopped and it's out of the rain, it's so humid right now that the water just doesn't want to leave the clothing. Here's a fire pit. People can actually, this is really dense sand or gravel around here, and you can actually stake your tent in here. You just either need to have a bear barrel or be willing to walk all the way back to the bear wires to store your food and smelly stuff. So I don't know if you can see, but right there, that black blob right there, that is a black bear. And if I just turn over here to give you a sense of scale, that's my camp. He's right over there. He was hanging out in the meadow taking a nap actually, when another guy walked in, and they surprised each other and they both backed off. And now he's just kind of been walking this way, sort of away from the camping area towards the river area. Now he's over around near my camp. Right there he is. You can see him moving away just a little bit. His rump is sticking right at us. Actually, I believe his rump is sticking out away from us and he's facing towards us. There he is. Don't worry, I'm not close, we're just zoomed in. But look at that, isn't that pretty? And the camera, surprisingly, is actually picking up that there's something there, which is amazing because this camera sucks. Here we are in my tent. You can actually see the bear from here. He's that black. Right over there. And we are right inside my tent. She's right over there. Which is just about the coolest thing in the world, but also a little sketch. But he definitely knows I'm here. Doesn't seem to care very much. It was actually really interesting when he was out in the meadow, where, you know, next to the cabin itself and the main stuff. Oh, he's moving. There was a pair of deer here, the same pair of deer I saw yesterday actually, the mama and the baby / teenage deer, and they didn't care he was there at all. I guess the baby's old enough now that they can outrun him. I only say him, it could be a lady, but there's no cubs, so I feel like maybe it's a little more likely that it's a dude. Right now we're experiencing about the closest thing we've got so far to sunshine. We've had a couple minutes of direct sunshine so far from up there, but it's actually blue sky you can see, which is pretty crazy, and it's finally beginning to burn off some of the fog behind me. You can see these mountains. I mean, they're still burning fog right there. Over here you can see the mountains that I've hiked past. This is where I've come from. Let's see if we can get some proper light there. But you can see it's still burning off on the edges. And down this way, I don't think we could see Mount Olympus from here if all the clouds were gone, but we can see some mountains, and there is, well actually, right now you can't see any of it because the clouds have just begun to cover up that part. But there is snowpack up there that we can see. But I'm just enjoying this, I don't know, apparently better weather. Right now, I came through the forest, had to watch out for a bear this time, which is interesting because, you know, I've been spending a fair amount of time on the beach so far and wasn't really concerned before. I knew they live in the park, but hadn't been warned about him, didn't know if they were even going to be out and about soon yet from hibernation, and so, but now I know there's one around. This is a really cool example of the power of the river. This tree here has been taken out super recently. and washed downstream at some point when it was flooding. Apparently the water must have been at least this high to get the tree up here. But we can actually see that it's budding right now in the spring. This tree is at least still alive a little bit in the way that when you pick a flower, the flower is still alive. So it's not that long ago that it got picked up and chucked down here, and now it's hanging out and will become driftwood. That is a bald eagle. So if we look, in this meadow that I can see, in this area at least, every single one of these new grass shoots has been munched on. Just like that. They're all munched. All of them. You guys coming to hang out with me? So these are the friends who've been around the site since I got here yesterday. This is the adolescent, and here's mom. And like I may have told you earlier, the deer just do not care. They're pretty chill. Obviously, if I ran up to one, they'd probably not like that. But it's the elk who are skittish, and the deer are totally chill with me just walking by them. And I mean, I have to walk by them. My camp's right there. So they've been out and about. They've walked right past the other guy here. Here's mom. Doesn't like that I'm getting closer. Here's baby, who always seems like they don't quite know what to do. But you can see her. Oh, she's flashed her tail at me. It's the warning danger sign. Hey mama, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You were fine with the bear earlier. Don't worry about me. Good deer. Yes. Anyway, yeah, textbook national park animals. Chill with humans. I mean, again, a sense of scale. Deer, camp. They are right in the thick of things. This is the famous mountain chicken. I don't actually know what it is, some kind of grouse or something, but I call it a mountain chicken. So, it is 6:30 a.m., 6:20 rather. Oh, on Saturday morning, it is cold, which makes sense because the skies are clear, so there's no insulation. And I told you earlier that there was definitely snowpack up in the mountains, but we couldn't really see it. But we can see it now, so this is the view that the clouds have been keeping from us earlier in the week. And right down here, ladies and gentlemen, is spectacular. There's more off to the right, but we can't see them from here. These guys will get skittish as soon as they see me. and they'll clear out to the other side of the stream over there, which is unfortunate. These guys are big. Here's the other four on the right side. Oh, come on, camera. Beautiful. Oh, and there's more over there. I wonder if it's one big group or two groups. Interesting. This is sunrise at the Hoh River. The sun's touched that side of the river, but not this side yet. Oh, you can just see all the golden moss. There's the fog. Here's my oatmeal. It is 8:40 in the morning. I'm all packed up and headed out. It is sunny, which is great. My feet are freezing. I managed to get some socks mostly dry, but they were still a little damp. And my shoes, I mean, it was always going to be a lost cause with the shoes. They were never really going to be dry. So they are just like already numb. My toes are totally hosed. Ankle area is not so bad. But we'll see. Even though it's not raining and the sky's totally clear, I've decided to keep gaiters on because it's still mucky. And I've got these trekking poles, which somebody left here. So that's 2 pairs of trekking poles that I've now acquired. Not this trip, but total from people leaving the places. Careful, don't drop my phone here. I'm crossing over this cool bridge, over this stream. So poles might help me on the way back. But yeah, 10 miles I'll be at the car. And I got a 4-hour drive back to Seattle. Since it's not raining, I'll try to do a little better job of documenting some of the cool things that are on this trail on the way back. There's some really pretty waterfalls. And I mean, I could say some monstrous trees, but the fact is, there are monster trees that really give me an understanding of what old growth means. You see them, several a minute. This is one right behind me. The camera doesn't really give a good sense of scale, but here it is. Here's a trekking pole, if you can sort of begin to see how big that is. These trekking poles are extended to about probably a little over 3 feet. And again, I can just see from the camera already that the tree is bigger than it looks on camera. These things are massive and they're everywhere. They're just everywhere. So yeah, 10 miles to go, mostly flat. A tiny bit of downhill, mostly, because we are going downstream. And we'll see what we can see. I haven't seen any wildlife on the trail so far, either on the way in. The only wildlife I've seen, really, besides birds, has been at the trailhead and at camp. So, we'll see. There's a mountain through the trees. You can't, this tree is, you can't see very well. Very similar in shape to the brothers actually, although obviously that's not what this is. So this is about 8/10 of a mile from camp, or from the Olympic Guard Station, rather. You can either ford it here, which sounds cold, or we can venture into that maze of logs and cross there, which is what I did the other day. And it's definitely one of the trickier crossings I've done. There was some falling and some unstable logs, but I didn't go in the water, so we'll try that again. Again, trying to give you a sense of scale. There's the trekking pole, and that's probably 4 feet long right now. And I mean, the trekking pole is still, because it's at the base, is closer to you than the actual main trunk is. So again, this is even still deceiving, but just a monster. One of the awesome things about hiking when it's not raining is to get to wear these gloves. They get a bit too wet if it's raining too much at a time. But these are just cycling gloves that I picked up as a freshman in college to ride, and they're good for that too. But they help to keep my hands warm. There's padding on this side, which helps prevent any blisterage or scrapes if I have to scramble. And most importantly, by far the biggest feature about fingerless gloves is that they help you to feel cool, which is really important, especially when you're filming while crossing a stream, which is really smart. But if you feel cool, then nothing bad will ever happen to you. This mountain chicken has just solved one of the biggest mysteries of the weekend for me. The entire time, every couple of minutes I hear a sound like a helicopter taking off. It's like a bump, 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 and then it stops. And this every several minutes, sorry, where'd he go? There he is, right in the middle. I hear that sound, and as I'm walking back, I finally hear it, but it's much louder than it always sounded in the distance before. And this time it's close enough that it does sound like wings flapping. So I come over, and here's a mountain chicken right over here. So mystery solved. It's a mountain chicken flapping its wings for some reason. This is my lunch spot. For lunch today we have some homemade trail mix. We have jerky and cheese wraps. And we're looking out at the trail here. I think I'm about 6 miles in so far with about 4 left. I've just got leaning up against this old log, got my pad to sit on. We're enjoying the sunshine. There's a series of waterfalls here, and it's really tough to see. But it goes all the way up there, and then actually that white too is also a waterfall, and I believe there might be a trail to get up there, but it's covered in brush when I tried. So here I am once again filming while standing on a bridge, which is a great plan, but there's a separate waterfall behind me from the one I showed you before. It's right up there. You can't really see it. The white thing over there. So I want you to look at how clear this water is. With the exception of mud puddles and the Hoh River itself, every single flowing water that I've seen has been this clear. We are back at the parking lot. Took a much needed bathroom break. Went into the visitor center, which was closed when I got here. It's only open on the weekends except for the summer. Very small visitor center, but it has some cool stuff. It's very populated today. Apparently, there's no entry fee on 420. Celebrate National Park Week. I haven't smelled any weed though either, which is nice. But so we're back in the car after some car alarm adventures. I left my fob locked in the glove compartment, but had the key with me. And so naturally, when I unlocked the door with my own key, the car alarm went off, and I can't shut it off until I, at least as far as I know, apparently you're supposed to read the manual or something before you drive these things. Can't shut the alarm off until I get the fob out of the glove compartment, which is locked, and the glove compartment wasn't unlocking, and every time I open or close the door to get out, the alarm starts again. Every time I try to start the car, the alarm starts again. I also thought the battery was dead because it wouldn't start, but that was just the security mode. And I thought that because the glove compartment wouldn't unlock, it was also like overriding the key on that security mode. But it turns out I just wasn't pulling hard enough, and the glove compartment, we got that opened and sorted, and convinced a bunch of people, I'm sure, that I don't know what I'm doing. But we're back here. We're not dead. My feet hurt. My left knee started really acting up with about 2.5 miles left, but that stopped, thankfully. I finally saw some wildlife on the trail, but I'm pretty sure it was the same herd of elk that I saw at the park entrance when I got here. But it was close enough to the trailhead that it's basically at the trailhead. But that was cool because the elk here clearly see a lot more people and don't care and aren't skittish, and so being able to walk right up next to them was very cool. But yeah, it was a great trip, very wet. I'm so glad that the rain died down the second day, or this would have really been a miserable trip. And I will definitely be more wary of the weather than I was this time. My attitude for this trip was definitely more of a, I just need to get out there, and if it rains, it rains, and I'll have an experience, and that's fine. But now that I've had that experience, I think I can say with confidence that it's probably worth it to wait if you can at all. Yeah. Here I am at Ruby Beach. The tide is very much in. We can just show off some of the sea stacks here. Ooh, there's a corky. But it's really interesting looking at some of the branches on these trees. They're all bent and blown back towards the coast against the winds that come in here. I also never knew, maybe you could see it, I didn't know there was a lighthouse out there, which is pretty cool. Must be an interesting thing to visit.